Hey Chicago, how you guys doing? Hey Facebook and all my friends and family from all across the world. Just wanted to reach out and say happy Winning Wednesday to you. Hopefully you've had a great week thus far and wrapping up a great November. We've got a great month. November is definitely a great opportunity for reassessing things that are in your life and making and checking off that things are being done and what do you need to still do. I'm here today. We're at a property in South Holland. I had an 8 a.m. showing and a 7 o'clock walkthrough, but wanted to my guest is not able to make it, so we're going to do part two later. We're going to talk about what is to be at a home inspection, what to anticipate. So we're going to go ahead and do part two later on. So check us out later while we're live at a home inspection later on with one of my clients. So we're here in beautiful South Holland, and if you can see from the background I have here how gorgeous this house is. From just the outside, this is my favorite room of the entire house. It is a 5,000 square foot home and 5 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. And keep your fingers crossed, we've actually got two offers and we'll be selling this baby very shortly. So, great home, backs up against the creek. And hey, Tracy, I love that dopeness. Good morning, Michelle. Thanks for your support. And how are you, honey? How are you from North Carolina? How is from Core Training? And he's a great buddy of mine that I met a couple of months ago. So, anyways, what to anticipate at an inspection? Some of you guys have probably owned a home and, definitely share this video with other people who haven't owned a home yet or haven't bought a home because it's very important to you. And we also talk about this in my book that is a results-driven book. And we talk about from building a home from start to finish, and in the inspection is included. But what we look for in inspection, we literally look from the top to the bottom. And we look at the roof, or actually the inspector looks at the roof, not me. So we do look, let's say this, let me step back, let's take it a couple steps backwards. And when we do a initial showing with the clients, your realtor should be kind of taking a look, well, not kind of, definitely looking at everything from the condition of the roof, what about the foundation, what about the walkway, the electrical, any issues with anything basically that may indicate some potential issues for you. There is also, definitely we pay attention to the basement, any cracks in the ceiling, or even vertical cracks across the wall. So those are the things that we definitely pay attention to. But fast forward, we negotiated a contract and now we are under contract, and pretty much a day or two after the contract is executed and earnest money is deposited, we are going to require that you will also do a home inspection. Well, not require. I would say that it's definitely we recommend for peace of mind to do a home inspection. A home inspection, depending on the size of home and what kind of property you're inspecting, could range anywhere from $300 to, well, I've had about $7 for a multi-unit building. You got to keep in mind when you're inspecting a multi-unit building, we're talking multiple kitchens, multiple bathrooms. So there's a lot more area for them to cover that, wouldn't be in a smaller condo, one-bedroom condo or studio. So it's going to be gauged off of the amount of square footage and the amount of things that they're going to have to inspect. But the inspection is typically about a 3-hour process, again, depending on your kind of home that you're purchasing. I've seen inspectors take about an hour for a condo and about 2.5 hours, 3 hours for a single family, multi-unit family building. So we then at that point, the inspector takes lots of pictures. We recommend that you walk through with the client walk through and follow behind the inspector, not peer over. Whoops, excuse me guys, drop the phone. Not to go ahead and literally stand right on top of your inspector, basically give them room, personal space, guys, and then you just kind of walk through and see what is the issues that the inspector are finding as far as what are issues with the home. And they'll also point out some great things. So an inspection report is basically an objective report that tells you about everything that is good and bad or wrong with the property. Now, when a property has things that are wrong, does that mean, oh my goodness, don't buy that house? No, not at all. You can still buy the house because things are fixable. Now, some things may not be fixable. I had a client that we looked at a home, at this point, maybe about 7-8 years ago, and there was literally a vertical crack across the entire perimeter of the walls in the basement. What does that mean? That basically means the foundation is caving in and the house is too heavy, or at least what I was told, it is too heavy. The house was too heavy for the foundation and is starting to crack and cave in on the property. So, and a client thought that that was something fixable, and unfortunately that is something fixable, but that's not a simple fix. That is a big, major expense. So the things that we want to talk about is the major items in the home. We talked about the roof. We're talking about the electrical system. We're talking about plumbing. A day like this, it's rainy out there. It's a perfect day to do a home inspection, guys, because then you're going to determine whether or not there's going to be any water issues that the seller may not disclose. I hate to say this, and I don't want to be a negative ninny, but unfortunately, that's the whole premise of these inspections. There are disclosures that say that there's no flooding, but yet, lo and behold, right after a big rain, there's water coming in the home, and there's a chance that at that point, maybe, not saying they definitely knew, but there's a possible chance that the owners had known about it, and so you kind of want to really be cautious about that. So again, buying and looking at a home and on a rainy day is a great day. I actually, probably about maybe a month ago at this point, took 2 clients out. They were both sisters looking at buying properties, and we had about 10 properties to look at that Saturday afternoon. It was a really rainy day. I'm sure you guys know it. And we saw almost a third of the homes that had water trickling in. And, and some of the trickling was actually not crazy because how heavy the rain was. We were dealing with the fact that there was in the basement, there was a little drain that was covered up with all the leaves, and so the pace of water was going a lot faster than being able to get in the drain. And unfortunately, with the leaves covering the drain, it was allowing the water to trickle into the home. So, but that was something that I think was definitely fixable. But now other things, that's going to be a question of whether or not we can definitely address. But again, we take the report as the realtor, we take that was given to you by the inspector, and then we go over it. The inspection report I've seen as long as about 30 pages. Well, actually about 30 pages to as long as, believe it or not, about 120 pages. I couldn't believe I got that report, but on average it's about 30 to 40 pages. It gives you a good report gives you a couple of pages where it's basic terminology and basic things that what to anticipate. What are you looking for with ampage? What are we looking for with the house? So it gives you what they call the remarks section. I know, like, I work with a company, my special guest Kevin Mathers with KGM Inspections. I love Kevin and Jared. They're great guys. They do quite a few of my inspections. I do have other inspection companies that I do work with, but they will have a report that will be about, like I said, 30 some odd pages, and there will be about 5 or 6 pages, if I'm not mistaken, that gives just general overview, and that's attached to every single inspection, so you have a point of comparison, because it's always good to have a point of comparison, guys. Thanks so much for sharing, Shanice. Hi, Mary. Haven't talked to you in a while. Thanks so much for following me, as always. So anyways, going back about the report, we go ahead and we go through the report and we identify the things that are most important to you guys. It does not mean a seller has to fix each and everything that's on a report. We want to rank that's most important as far as what's to be fixed on a home inspection, because a speckle of paint that's needed on the wall or a little bit of caulk on a kitchen sink is not what you want to jump up and down about. You want to jump up and down about if there is a cracked burner on the furnace, or you want to jump up and down if there is a foundation crack in the home, meaning water seepage. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't be fixed again. Everything is pretty much fixable. Okay, so again, that's why we want to rank everything that's more important to you to fix, because we want to address the major mechanical items. Okay, so with that being said, we go again, look at the major items. There is typically the first couple of pages of the inspection report is the summary, and it kind of gives you just a breakdown, and then it expands fully, and you want to read the entire report. I know we may not want to read 30 some odd pages, but this is what we want to definitely do to give you peace of mind, and it's a great, if you will, Bible and record of your home to utilize for future references. So maybe something, they'll also keep in mind as far as in the inspection report, the major items, the things to keep kind of observation that, yeah, there's some issues, but yet they're not immediately required for you to be fixing. And then there are cosmetic items. Again, we want to focus on the first two items, the major items, and maybe some things that are things that can keep an eye on. So with that being said, between myself and the buyer, we go through a partial list of things that to be fixed. So a buyer agrees to that, what they feel needs to be done, or you can also talk to your attorney about that list, and at that point the attorney will communicate with the seller's attorney, and at that point the seller's attorney will be communicating with the seller. So there is protocol to follow when you're buying and selling real estate. You're talking agent to agent, attorney to attorney, and never buyer to seller, because your agent and your attorney are your representatives to help you facilitate the deal through. Okay, guys? So that's kind of basically what we're anticipating with a home inspection. At that point, the seller and the buyer's attorney will be communicating, and they'll be communicating on your behalf as to the things that are on the list. At that point, it is upon the seller to decide whether or not they want to go ahead and fix XYZ. Sometimes do we suggest fixing it? Sometimes you need to fix it because it's something, if you're doing an FHA financing, then it may be something that FHA requires you to fix, whereas there are things that are not required, but it's definitely needed for you to fix, and it's something that's very important to you, that then you could always ask for a minor credit or a price adjustment. So it's really all going to depend on, again, what's going to be identified as major issues, and that way you can talk to your agent and your attorney about it. And sometimes you might want to get an estimate to get those things done. Now, if you're buying a property that needs renovation and you're doing 203K, that's going to be a little different naturally, because then you may be dealing and incorporating what they call a 203 rehab consultant, and that can take the place of a home inspector, and then they're going to walk through the home with you. You're going to identify things that you want to get fixed, and then they're also going to identify things that need to be fixed prior to you taking possession of the property. So again, depending on the kind of financing you have, 203K is a little bit, FHA and VA are very rigid or specified in the condition. Safety is a big issue with VA and FHA financing deals, so it has to make sure that there is no issues that would cause any safety issues for the homeowner in the end. Something as simple as a handrail. The sellers probably have lived in a house 20, 30 years and there's no handrail, but it's a requirement, and they will make sure that you have to put a handrail on before you move in. Handrails are nothing, $50 between the pole and installation if you hire a contractor, or you can do it yourself as well, guys. But anyways, going back to the negotiations, hopefully the seller will be very amenable to repairing those things or providing a credit. Once you come to what they call a meeting of the minds, or I like to call it a meeting of the minds, then at that point we wrap up what we call the attorney review and inspection period. And as long as both parties are in agreement, then you close up the attorney review, and then the appraisal is involved. And once the appraisal is involved, that's pretty much then everything is done, and now it's the next step and the lender's part to do what they need to do to help facilitate getting the deal closed. So with that all being said, I hope this was very informative for you. And if you, as always, if you have any questions, please do reach out to me, and I am always available for questions and or resources. So have a great day, guys. We will see you part 2 later at a home inspection. We can talk about some of the things that an inspector live and in person talk about, the things that they're looking at. All right, guys, catch you in about an hour. Take care. Bye.